Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Third Down Thursdays.
Bruce, you asshole. You muted it. That's crazy. I was getting ready to do it.
legitimately didn't mean to do that. That's my bad.
No,
Like, no
that's-
joke. I think it was an
that's
auto
nasty.
thing. All right,
That's
cool.
nasty.
The show, boys.
I promise
Way
you
to
that
start
was
the show.
not me. I promise you.
nasty
All right,
work.
keep going. Let's go, boys.
All right, it is a Friday. It is December the 12th. I am Jack Gaffney. I'm alongside Kenny, the coach. Kenny, my friend, what's going on? Big week for you, obviously, with Ohio State. Both losing, but also kind of winning, but obviously in a messed up way. We'll obviously get to that. But how are we feeling?
Yeah, I'm excited. This is a great week for college football. A great week for the sport in general. Let me tell you, it's pretty good. How you doing, Jack?
I am doing good. I am tired, as I always am. It was usually crash around this time, but always nice to hang out on a Friday night.
Absolutely.
And I guess we just get straight into it with our
jump
first
into
segment
it.
of the evening with the 10-piece. So last night, we had, I got another in a line of just really, I'll say mediocre primetime NFL games. It's like a month, it's kind of like a good one, which is really disappointing. But one of the worst losses really all year by any team for the Bucks, who coming out of their bye week, again, they were 6-2 going into their, I believe, their week 9 bye. Since then, they're 1-5 now, and they're looking down the barrel, missing the playoffs. Because there's just no way a team in the South's getting the wild cards. But so
It's not looking good.
all of this to say, is it panic button time for them?
Oh, 100%. I think now it's beyond panic button time because you've run into several situations where again, they've been battling injuries all year long. You've had some issues with your receiving core now, and it's just not looking good. Baker Mayfield's kind of coming out a little flat now. I'm not seeing a lot of the impressive, and he's not walking around with that cockiness anymore either. So I think that really takes away from the whole aspect of their offense too. A lot of the confidence is gone. So it's definitely time to worry down in Tampa. And I will say, as cool as the creamsicle jerseys are, it does harken back to a time where they were real losers. So I don't know if last night was the night to pull out those creamsicles, but they did it anyways.
A fitting loss with that in mind. But, I mean, this kind of felt like a team earlier in the season where this could have been down the pipeline for them. Because remember that second game they won against the Texans earlier in the year?
Oh, yeah.
Where it's just like they're just scratching and clawing to just get these wins. So I'm not surprised that this has now happened. Now, obviously, all the injuries again, like Ben Brettson, he ends up getting hurt for the year. I think Luka Decky missed a ton of time this year. The right tackle, who was, I believe, second team All Pro last year.
I believe so.
Jamel Dean, I think he got dinged up in this game. But, like, everything's kind of falling apart now. But it's like, this all really started off them losing to 3 back-to-back-to-back really good teams in the Patriots, the Rams, and the Bills. And they just haven't really recovered from that, which makes really no sense to me because it felt like they were competitive against good teams.
Right. Yeah. It's been an interesting run for them because they were scrappy in the beginning of the season. They were winning on some real grit, and then those losses. I almost feel like the Rams broke their back. I think that was it, and that was kind of the moment where you went, oh, maybe this isn't the one. Maybe this isn't the Buccaneers team that everybody's expecting them to be, or started to expect them to be, because they were. I think they came out of nowhere to begin the season with. I don't think that they were going to be favorites to win the division at all. But they looked really good for those first 8 weeks, that first half of the season, and it's just been completely different down the stretch. They're losing at the absolute wrong time. This is where teams were expecting to pull together, and they're not doing it right now.
I remember that Seattle game in Seattle where Buka had, I think it was like 6 total catches, but like 140 something yards. I'm like, this team just gonna steamroll the NFC. It would appear, but they decided against that apparently, which is just not good for them. And again, they have 3 games left now. 2 of them are against the Carolina Panthers. I can't imagine that they're going to win this division, but we'll have to see. And I think their other game is against, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the Eagles. I could be wrong there. Oh, we'll get to that.
Sounds-
Well,
Right, but and you don't know which Eagles team you're going to get anymore either.
shout out to man, rip the positivity, Bunny, man. That's devastating.
That was the oddest choice I think I've ever seen for a football locker room in a long time. It was a bit strange for me.
I hope it's still there, just deflated. There's like a bunch
Right?
of
It's just collapse on itself.
it collapsed on itself with a bunch of stab holes in it. I feel like that'd be even better.
Fitting for Philadelphia too.
Yeah, the Rage Bunny that's just there. All right, we're gonna stick in Tampa last night because a guy who I have never given up on, not even for a second, had the game of his life last night. Kenny,
Oh yeah.
166 yards, 3 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts, baby.
Yeah.
Every single friend group in this country has a guy who's been like, I'm just gonna take Kyle Pitts every year in fantasy. Every friend group in this country guaranteed has that one guy. Today and then last night, best 48-hour stretch of that person's life. I am that person. I never want Kyle Pitts. Never. So, but it is worth mentioning with Kyle Pitts. He is a free agent coming up at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
His market value, according to the folks over at Spotrac, is 4 years and a little over $11.5 million a year. Let's just play this hypothetically. If you were a tight end needy team, would you give him a market value multi-year extension? Or not extension, a deal in this case.
Man, market deal. See, so that's the tricky part, right? Is that he's always had way more potential than it seems that he's been able to show off. So to sit there and say, 4 years, nearly $50 million over that stretch, that'd be a tough ask for me. Just because you haven't gotten that consistently proven track record, you are gambling a lot on that consistency that just hasn't been there. You're hoping that superstar from last night shows up 17 weeks out of the year. So while I don't necessarily disagree with the ask, $11.5, $12 million per season, I don't necessarily disagree with it as a Kyle Pitts fan. I would have a hard time actually pulling the trigger on that deal. I think I would be pushing for a little bit less, maybe 9.5, 10 million. And he'd probably walk away from that table too.
I would do this so quickly, it'd make your head spin, but I'm going to give you a team that I think should be all over this. It's the Kansas City Chiefs that should be all over this.
Okay. I agree.
Again, there's no way Travis Kelce's playing next year. None. I saw that dude. The fact that the Chiefs season basically ended last Sunday straight because of him is like the greatest thing that could have ever happened to me. Because I don't really hate the Chiefs. I do hate Travis Kelce. Let's make no thoughts about that. I hate Travis Kelce. Him being responsible for that last pick was like the funniest possible outcome. And he's just not a good receiver anymore. His entire bag is, I'm going to run 5 yards downfield, try to get one of these curl routes, and then take 5 seconds to turn myself back around and go down at the first sign of contact. That's his entire game at this point. Imagine if Patrick Mahomes had a guy like Kyle Pitts, who can line up as kind of that move tight end, can line up as like a true X receiver.
Yeah.
Just imagine how much fun Andy Reid would have game planning with that kind of guy in that offense.
I think
that's the perfect team for him.
I think that's a very spot on pick for that. And I really agree. I think Travis Kelce, if he's not done this season, he's definitely done after next year. I just don't think he's got a lot left in the tank, and that would make sense then to go after a guy like Pitts. I was kind of thinking, and I don't know how much, after you said Chiefs, I don't know how much I like this anymore. I was kind of thinking Titans, just to give Cam Ward an actual weapon, an easy target for him to get to with a lot of potential upside with that. So I was thinking Titans, but man, when you said Chiefs, that really makes a lot of sense. I can really see that one happening.
I'll tell you the funniest option is easily the Steelers. Just got another tight end in that room. Surely the fifth tight end. The fifth tight end.
I was going to say 5 tight ends then at that point. Yeah.
Oh baby, that's real football to me.
Can't do that to Fryman too.
That'll be. So, could you imagine?
For the Steelers, yes.
Somehow they trade for Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren's the quarterback. They got Cam Hayward's kid brother at fullback. You just start playing Darnell Washington at tackle. Then you have Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith, and then Kyle Pitts as your 3 main outside guys. I'm telling you, we're working with something here now.
That's Steelers football too. That's old school.
That's real. That's real football to me.
Yep.
All All right, so now we're on to a Michigan question. Obviously, I feel like I'm not the right person to obviously go into the very real, the real world, like serious part of this equation, because obviously this is a legitimately horrible situation all around. But there is also the football element here of Michigan's now in the market for a head coach. So I have a few options here that were all in some betting circles that I saw that would make some sense. So of these four, Kenny, who do you think would make the best head coach for Michigan, as unbiasedly as you can here? Kalen DeBoer, who of course is the head coach right now at Alabama and is the betting favorite, I will let you know. University of Washington head coach Jed Fish. Los Angeles Chargers defensive coordinator and obviously was part of the staff with Jim Harbaugh, Jesse Minter. And the fourth option, this is an interesting one, Arizona State head coach Kenny Gillingham.
So, yeah, this has been a great story to follow this past week. But when you look at Kalen DeBoer, it doesn't make any sense because you're at Alabama, right? Which is for many people the pinnacle of head coaching spots, right? I think if that domino falls, all of a sudden Lane Kiffin's going to pull a Tennessee again, and he's going to end up in Bama himself.
Oh, please, that'd be objectively hilarious. You can't lie. You can't lie. Tell me that would not be hilarious.
It'd be great to watch. It would be great parody to watch. But I just think, right? So he has to weigh it out, right? He's in the playoff. He's got a 9-3 football team. But if he goes 9-3 again and doesn't make the playoffs next year, I think DeBoer's out at Alabama. So you have to weigh your options if you're him. But also, it is Alabama. I would ride that train until they told me I have to leave the office. So then you look at a bunch of other guys. You know, I know you're betting favorites, but I've heard guys like John Gruden get thrown out there. I don't think Michigan, that team up north, I don't think they make that splash. I don't think.
Bruce, I know you're in the background. Save this VOD. I want you to save him saying Michigan. That's like the first time I've ever heard him say it.
It's okay, though, because it's outside of their season. They're done. So technically, as an Ohio State fan, you can say it. It's just frowned upon. But the team up north, those sons of bitches, I don't see John Gruden. I don't see that being the pick. I like it's Minter, right? Is that the Minter, DC? Yep. He's a former staffer, right? He knows the system. He knows the culture.
Exactly.
I think he would be the easy lock for the position, especially because in Ann Arbor, they're scrambling now. They have no idea what's going on. They have every idea of what's going on, but I don't think they knew it was going to hit the fan quite like this. You got the portal's going to open up rapidly on these guys. They get 15 days to make moves, and some of these guys are out the door right now. So you need somebody to come in, knows the culture, knows the team aspect, and gets everybody back on track. That's Minter. John Gruden, I think, would make things arguably worse, even though I think he deserves a head coaching spot again. I think he would make it worse for right now in the immediate future. And then everybody else just doesn't really make. I've heard Lincoln Riley get thrown out there. Like, I'm sorry, but I just don't see.
No chance.
I don't see many current Big Ten head coaches jumping their ship to go to that sinking ship right now. Like, you need somebody from the outside, or at least partially removed from the situation, to come in and kind of right the ship. So I think that's why DeBoer is kind of the odds-on favorite right now, just because he's a Midwest guy, loves all that stuff. But you're at Alabama.
It's going to go south of Alabama at some point. So I think at least I can understand it from that slant.
Right. And he essentially was the holdover right after Saban left. Nobody really wanted to touch that job except DeBoer. He came in and took it in a heartbeat, which, if you're the Washington head coach, why wouldn't you take that job? But he was the holdover. I think he was always the holdover. I think Alabama really wants a guy like Lane Kiffin in the future. So maybe DeBoer starts that domino chain himself now, but that would be such a bad move, I think, on his part. I think it goes to Minter at the end of the day.
I think they need a safe hire. So to me, I'm with you. Minter would be my choice. Dillingham would be really interesting, but I just don't know. If he would want to leave Arizona State right now. I know Sam Levitt's potentially talking about transferring, and they're probably going to lose Jordan Tyson to the draft this year. But
yeah,
it feels like he has a good thing going out there. Plus, he went there and he started coaching there under he was a Norvell guy, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough to take a guy away from, being in that, he played there. He was a Sun Devil. So it's kind of harder to take somebody away from that position because there is so much passion that lies in that. I just don't see. I saw the guy from Utah actually is stepping down. I don't know if he's stepping
Yeah,
down for health reasons or if he's actually getting ready to make that move. Maybe there's already some changes happening, but I'm not
I
sure.
guess he's not retiring, so he's just gonna
Right.
be
I
hanging
heard
out.
all I heard was stepping down, so I'm not sure what the and he's done. I thought he's done a great job at Utah, so it's
Yeah,
interesting to see that move.
they've been one of the best defensive teams in the nation for the last decade.
Yeah, yeah, they have been. It's been really fun to watch Utah football over the past decade for sure.
All right, so we're sticking with college football for our fourth question. This is a quick one. Any gripes with the 12-team playoff field?
So many gripes.
I have one and only one.
So the only thing that I can say, I guess at the end of the day, I get all of the moves that have happened. Even as okay, I guess there's a few. As an Ohio State fan, I don't think Ohio State should have been 2. I think we should have been 5. To be honest, we didn't win the conference. Yeah, I'm just saying we didn't win the conference. There was a lot of other teams out there, arguably that when they win their conference or when they've had a good stretch like they have, I could have easily been okay with Ohio State dropping to 5. I'm ecstatic that they're 2, right? Get the bye, get to go to the Cotton Bowl, see what happens between Texas A&M and Miami. That's all well and good. I would have been okay with us dropping to 5. And the reason why is because I think Alabama should not be in the playoff at 9-3, losing their conference title. And I think if you have Alabama and Ohio State both making the playoff, losing the conference title, then why isn't BYU in the conversation for the playoff, right? And the reason why Ohio State didn't drop any spots, or they dropped 1 spot because they lost the conference championship, is so that you can get Alabama into the playoff by not having them suffer a loss as the conference champion. So all that being said, I know the major talking point is Notre Dame. And I get Notre Dame not being in the playoff 100%. What I don't get is why they were ranked ahead of Miami on Tuesday, and then they didn't play a game, and then they lost that spot to Miami, who also didn't play a game. So those are my
that was. I think that was strictly just to try to get people's hopes up.
Yeah,
which is objectively funny as someone who hates Notre Dame, but this doesn't make any sense.
No, I'm sure you're happy about this, but
buddy.
I'm not the biggest Notre Dame fan in the world either. Being an Ohio State fan, there's that natural rivalry between the two schools. The only commonality that we have is that we both hate the team up north so much. But at the same time, it just doesn't make sense to me when you sit there and you have a ranking show, right? You spend 2 hours talking about these rankings, and then just for 5 days later for it to be completely turned upside down because now Miami is considered better. I don't know. I think there was something wasn't quite right there. And now this whole memorandum of understanding comes out. I think that's messed up too. I think there's a lot of conversations to be.
We'll get to that, buddy.
I know.
All right, so I'll tell you the one thing that I would have changed genuinely. I have a more overarching point. The only thing that I would have changed with this field, I would have bumped Bama out because I firmly believe that as a human right, you should not be a 3-loss team and be in a 12-team playoff. You just shouldn't.
Right.
And
unless you win the conference.
Yeah, unless you win. Yeah, and even then, it's okay,
it's
what conference did you? Yeah, exactly. But Kenny, we had again. This all would have been prevented. All of the arguing, all of the crying and the whining in the college football world would have been prevented if we went back to an incredible system, a beautiful system, what many called it. No, we did, Kenny. Back in my day, we went beep boop bop up to IBM Watson. Beep boop bop. Who are the 2 best teams in college football? And IBM Watson would tell us the 2 best teams in college football without fail every year and said, this is your national championship game. This is the bowl game they're playing in. We had a great system. It was called the BCS. It was incredible. And they took that from me. They took it from me, Kenny.
I agree it was a beautiful system, but it was a flawed system. There were many flaws in that system because it heavily favored the SEC. And I know I'm sound Big Ten biased with that, but it was not a perfect system, which is why you went to the 14 playoff, which almost was a perfect system. Almost. And then they just leapfrogged what would have made it perfect 6 or 8 team playoff, and you jumped into the 12 team territory only 1 year later to be talking, oh, we needed 16, we need 24 teams, and eventually it's going to be March Madness where we're going to have to figure out a 6 game season now. Your conference championship is going to be in November, and then you're going to set the table so you can have a huge tournament throughout bowl season, and maybe that's more fun. Who knows? I'm not quite sure on that, but I think you almost had the perfect system. I know you're a BCS fan. Almost had that perfect system breaking away from it with a 4 to maybe 8 team playoff, and you just crushed that with this whole 12 team nonsense. And then to still not have any sort of concept of reality, any sort of precedent being set with this stuff. You're just every year you're just coming out. Well, this year it's a different format. It's the eye test this year. Next year it's the resume. Next year it's strength of schedule. What are we doing here?
Next year it's war runs created.
You need to have a strict formula for this, and it's going to be hard to do when you continue to hang on to the concept of bowl games and conference championships and all this other stuff, and you don't have true conferences like the NFL does, which is what you're kind of trying to simulate. You're not going to get there like this. You're going to miss it every time. You're going to make a mistake almost every time by having a panel of people and their bias voting on it.
Yeah. And it's funny, I will say, it's funny you brought up the SEC bias. Because you want to know what the national title game would have been under the BCS?
Sure.
It would have been Indiana versus Ohio State.
So they would have really done see, but that's the other thing too. Like there was a human component. I know the BCS had a computer element, and it was a heavy computer element at the end, but there was still a human element to it. And I really don't think that they would have gone, okay, this was our conference championship first week of December. Now we're going to go to Pasadena, and this is going to be Big Ten versus Big Ten. They did it for the SEC a couple of times, but I think one team was outside of the top 2 going into the conference championship week, and then they snuck in after teams had lost. So I mean, it gets very tricky though. But that BCS system was never truly accurate.
I think the ultimate logic that I have is like, there's far closer to only 2 good teams in college football than there are being 12. And I hate this. I fucking hate this logic of like, we can't have these group of 5 teams in. Because then we start getting into the self-cannibalizing rhetoric that's going to lead to like, okay, let's just pretend that 75% of the sport doesn't matter. And then what's going to happen is, I guarantee it, if this does happen, they're going to start talking about kicking teams out of like the SEC and Big Ten. I guarantee you this will happen. Guarantee it.
Yeah.
So we're talking like Arkansas, potentially Kentucky, like in the SEC. Like I guarantee you this will happen.
Yeah, and then every year they talk about why is Purdue in the Big Ten? Why is Rutgers in the Big Ten? Because it arguably at times Purdue comes out and upsets teams every once in a while, but Rutgers never really made a whole lot of sense except for the TV network, the networking deal, the marketing in the Northeast. Never made any sense in the Big Ten. So I mean, you're going to start hearing those kind of things where we're going to start talking about. I've heard it already. Relegation of teams. You'll have a lower tier for the Big Ten. The MAC becomes the low tier. And Purdue is fighting for their last spot in the Big Ten every year, and then you get Ohio coming up, stuff like that. I don't think that happens. I think you get a lot more closer to more independent teams. You're hearing a lot of clamor right now for Notre Dame to join a conference, but I think what people are going to start seeing is the fact that they make all that money when they go to a bowl game. They make all of that money themselves. They don't have to share with the conference. So I think what you're really going to start seeing is some of these powerhouse football teams leave the Big Ten, leave the SEC for the independent state, knowing that if you get a memorandum and all of a sudden you're in anyways.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Notre Dame, because question number 5 is, what are your thoughts on Notre Dame getting an automatic bid into next year's college football playoffs if they are ranked at least number 12, as well as the possibility that some conferences may freeze them out on the scheduling front moving forward because of this?
So I think the freezing out thing is bullshit because
fuck Notre Dame.
Okay, so you're going to get some teams that are going to say, we're not going to play Notre Dame, but you know how many other teams are going to step into that role and say, yeah, we'll play you, because Notre Dame's either going to pay out a huge sum of money for you to go to South Bend every week or every year, And then on the flip side of that, you have all of your traditional matchups still that are every year or every other year. Notre Dame can reschedule everything and anything that they want. So if they want to play Stanford and USC every single year, now they split, right? It's every other year between those two teams. And I think it's the same
next year, I'm pretty sure. They play both of them to close out next year.
Okay, so maybe there are some years where they are playing them in the same season, but there have been years where it's every other year. You can start bringing those teams back in. You can start playing, the Wolverines and Michigan State. You can start, and you're going to find other schools. Notre Dame, Ohio State. That gets a little trickier because neither team really wants to butt heads like that. But you'll probably start to see that if these other teams start to freeze them out. And as far as the memorandum goes, it's just on paper. These are things that college football fans have known forever. Whether you're a fan of Notre Dame or whether you hate Notre Dame with a passion, you know that there is a certain bias that somebody wants Notre Dame in there because Notre Dame is the Dallas Cowboys of college football. They are fan favorites. They have a huge following, whether it's deserved or not. You get all sorts. You get that, and when they're in the national championship against Ohio State, those ratings I don't think could have been much better. You weren't going to get that with, Alabama Auburn in the national title game.
Well, I'm glad you brought up TV ratings, Kenny. Actually, because I believe it was Front Office Sports who came out with this over the week. You want to know how many times Notre Dame appears in the top 20 most viewed college football games of the year to this point?
How many?
Once. You want to know how many times? You want to know how many times that was the case after week 1 against Miami?
Zero.
Yeah. Zero. They are not a fucking TV draw. You are not a big deal anymore. 90% of America fucking hates you. You are not God's gift to college football. I hope this blows up. This whole thing blows up in their fucking face. Genuinely.
But the same thing can be said true of the Dallas Cowboys. They are not America's team anymore. When they were in the 90s, when I was a kid, everybody, you turned on that, you knew 3:30 Central, you knew you were going to watch the Cowboys versus whoever, right?
Yeah, but at least the Cowboys can get ratings. They're not good. But you just laugh. Notre Dame acts like they're above like half the sport. Fuck Notre Dame.
I agree. They get a lot of clout, or they feel they get a lot of clout when they haven't deserved it in a little bit. But
they do like the Shamrock series shit. Like, fuck off. Like that I don't know why, but that infuriates me. The Shamrock series, where they just travel around, they act like they're the home team in other people's hometowns. Like, bro.
At least they were all white when they went to Las Vegas when they played at the Allegiant Stadium. But yes, I understand what you're saying. I understand. But see, then you talk to people in the Midwest, and there still is a lot of love for Notre Dame. There's a lot, especially Chicago doesn't really have a college football team, right? Northwestern, sure. But most of the fans growing up that I grew up with, they grew up Notre Dame, either lovers or haters. You either love that school or you hate that school. And there's plenty.
They're a cult. Cults are polarizing.
Not as bad as Texas A&M's cult, but yes, there's a certain degree to it.
At this point, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. At least Texas A&M gave me Johnny Manziel for those like 2 or 3 years, at the very least.
True. Let's see. I hated Manziel, so I'm more okay with Notre Dame's cult status.
I really wish I could pivot to a Jeff Hortepney commercial right now, but we can't do that because I'm pretty sure Bruce is not here. That would have been a perfect time to do it.
We're going no ads today.
No ads. Jeff Hortepney has betrayed us. Question number 6. What's the best way the Chiefs could kick off a roster rebuild or a retooling?
So I was thinking about this question earlier, and then after you said Kyle Pitts, I kind of think that might be the move. That might be your move to get everything going. Other than that, I think you need to retool the defensive line. The defensive line seems like it's aging based on what I've seen about it. And then, make sure to give Mahomes a little bit more action, a little bit more weapons on at running back. You got to get some more speed down there. You got to get some more consistent running backs because, from whenever I watch a Chiefs game, it's not really running up the middle. It's a lot of swing passes and it's a lot of flats. I think you need a true thunder and lightning type running back tandem where you can have somebody running between the tackles and then you got somebody flaring out to the outside and creating all sorts of problems for everybody. So there's a lot of things that the Chiefs can do, but after your earlier question, I really think Pitts is the move that starts everything.
To me, it's Pitts. You give him, again, overpay for him if you have to. Again, it's kind of the same thing here. Other side of the ball, I think you need another premier, not necessarily premier, but a guy who is a serviceable, 5 to 8 sack a year guy that can conceivably pair up with Karlaftis. I think potentially that guy is Khalevon Chai, or why am I blank? I always mess his name up. I feel horrible. Chason from the Patriots, who could be in line for a big payday come this offseason. And then the draft, if he's there, and I guess he was talking today, he might stick at Notre Dame, ironically enough, for another year. Jeremiah Love.
I don't know why he would stick at Notre Dame for another year. I don't think his draft stock's going to get. I don't think the draft stock gets much higher though for him right now. I think.
No, I agree.
I think he has accomplished as much as he's going to accomplish in South Bend. I think the logical choice is for him to make that jump to the NFL, and like you said, if he's there for the Chiefs to take him. I'm not looking at the draft breakdown just yet. It's a little early for me, but also maybe just saying if they either move up a little bit or if he slips a little bit, Caleb Downs would be a great addition from the draft for the Chiefs, I think.
Well, Caleb Downs isn't going to slip. It's because he's a safety, and the NFL has repeatedly looked at America and has said, as a league collectively, we do not care about the safety positions.
Yeah.
They did last year with Malachi Starks. Look at him now with the Ravens. I had him as a top 5 player in last year's draft. They're absolutely going to do the same thing as Caleb Downs, who I have as my number 1 player in this draft.
Right. I was going to say he's it, and I know there's bias on my side, but he's at least the number 1 non-quarterback for me in this draft, and I don't think that there's a quarterback that's better than him. I personally would see Caleb Downs going number 1 overall, but I think you and I are from a different type of fabric on that one. I think you're right. I think the league looks down on safeties, much like they used to look down on. Well, they waffle back and forth on looking down on running backs, but I definitely think safeties don't get enough love. But Caleb Downs is everything and then some that a team needs. And it would be, I think it'd be perfect for the Chiefs as much as I would hate it.
Oh, it'd be disgusting. Again, back there for kick returns. Oh, it'd be disgusting. It'd be terrible. Question number 7. I unfortunately did not get the full quote on this, but I did hear about this press conference that Joe Burrow had. And it was just it was depressing.
Yeah.
It was talking about how if this isn't fun anymore, I don't really know what my future is and stuff like that. That was the vibe, essentially. I don't think he said that word for word. That was more or less the vibe. If you're a Bengals fan, how concerned are you right now? After hearing that?
You have to be very concerned because this is everything that you don't want to hear. Your superstar quarterback who's been banged up year after year because your organization doesn't pay for offensive linemen. They only pay for wide receivers and the quarterback. So you're not winning games. So you're already not winning. Now you've got a quarterback who's saying this isn't fun anymore. So 2 things immediately jump into your mind. Is he leaving or is he pulling an Andrew Luck and retiring? Either way, he's gone from the organization. And then there goes any hopes that you have of being a superstar team, a Super Bowl contending team. It's arguable to me that Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I have him as top 4 in my head. And if he would win a Super Bowl ring, I'd probably put him up at number 1, to be honest with you. I think it's very concerning. If you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan, you have to be worried that Joe Burrow is going to leave your organization very soon. I'd say within 2 seasons.
It's like how could you blame him at this point?
I don't know.
He gets hurt every year. Again, they have to run into the Chiefs every year. They don't draft well. The owner's a cheapskate. Like, how could you blame him?
They don't hit the free agent market well at all, in my opinion. I mean, they get a couple hits here and there, but they're not. No, the Bengals they're a troubling organization, and that's why I was actually surprised. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. They were talking about moving the Bengals out of Cincinnati, and there were actually thoughts of them coming to Chicago, which I thought would have been very interesting to see. But it's the same stuff, It's the owner was just looking for a new stadium deal. The White Sox have pulled that year after year for the past 30 seasons. It's just the Bengals organization is a joke to me. They only care about what's lining their pockets. They don't really care about their quarterback. They don't care about a winning culture. So
yeah, God no. Again, the fact that they went to a Super Bowl in 2021, that was just the bonus for Mike Brown. This is a bonus.
Absolutely. I think right. And then he just made a ton of money off the sales of that.
Yeah, exactly. Make a ton of money off the Super Bowl suites. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I am gravely concerned if I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan. Gravely concerned.
You have to be.
And there were a ton of. I remember like, you remember back in like week 6 when it was like on Get Up on ESPN where like Mike Greenberg was like floating it out there, and I think he wouldn't have done this unless he kind of had like an inkling. Because they did this, and I will say this: they did this with Tom Brady the year he left New England on ESPN a lot, where it's like they knew, but they didn't want to like overtly tell.
Right.
They were talking about how like there's a ton of people that like Mike Greenberg was like, there's a ton of people that I know that want him with the Jets. I just feel like that was subliminal. He did that for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how they do that. You know, there's a lot of little hints at things like that, but clearly they know something's going on behind.
Why did they do that?
Right.
Why did the Utah Jazz make this trade? What's going on in Utah? What's going on?
I didn't see that one.
Oh no, yeah, no, that was the Singlet Donovan Mitchell trade. That was really funny.
Yeah. It's interesting times in the NFL for sure. I think Joe Burrow's I don't think he's long for a Bengals jersey too much more in his career. And it might be him retiring.
Okay, I'm glad you said interesting times. Again, you're doing great with the segues tonight.
Right? You're welcome.
Buddy. Phil Rivers, 39 years old, hasn't played a snap in the NFL in 5 years. 5 American years. Is back, baby. He's back with the team he last played with, the Colts. Because unfortunately, Daniel Jones, Achilles tear. I saw that in real time. I'm like, there's no way that this happened. Do you see that at all on Red Zone, like live as it happened?
No, I didn't see it live, but I was worried. I was worried because they were talking. He had a fractured. His leg was fractured.
Yeah, his left leg, and he tore his Achilles in his right leg.
Oh, it was the right leg. Okay. But usually when you have a leg injury and you continue to play on it, that's when you start to worry about a ruptured Achilles because it just, especially I know basketball does it all the time, but it's so worrisome to sit there and I get it because right now he's on a prove it kind of deal where he needs to sit there and prove that he still belongs in this league. But man, that was devastating to watch. I don't know. I think I know that's not your question, but I think the Indianapolis Colts organization should be a little ashamed of themselves. I think they should have benched him, or they should have sat there and said, "It's not working. You don't need to do this.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it." But here they are, and then they go after Philip Rivers.
Old man Philip Rivers, man, unbelievable.
Yeah.
So the question is, what is the realistic expectation for Philip Rivers with 5 years on the proverbial bench? And we were talking pre-show. He's been running effectively that offense for his high school or his son's high school football team.
Yeah, it's so for me, I think the reasonable expectation is a lot of rust and hopefully a guy that can manage the game. I don't think you're going out there expecting him to be completely dynamic. I think you're hoping that he can sit there and function, get some of that rust off, and pray that they aren't running a blitz right up the middle every single play on you because he's gonna get sacked on Sunday and they're gonna come after him. You have to guarantee that at that point. So the Colts offensive line, right? Yeah, the Colts offensive line better be putting in the work this week to be ready to block for him. But yeah, hopefully he manages the game and hopefully they do well. Otherwise, it's going to be a big embarrassment on all sides, on all accounts.
I get the sense that there's a legitimate chance that we look at this like 5 weeks from now and be like, what the fuck were they thinking?
Right.
But on the other hand, he has a good offensive line. He has a guy at running back who was an MVP consideration up until like the last couple weeks. And he had some pretty good pass catchers. You got Alec Pierce. You got Michael Pittman Jr. I wouldn't be so quick to be like, this is going to be an abject failure. I think it's not going to be great. But again, like you said, if he can just manage situations for that offense, I think it'll be fun.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what you have to be thinking as a Colts fan, as the Colts organization, is that you are hoping that he can hold on to things, hope that he doesn't have too much rust and that he can manage the game for you. Because if you're going to expect him to go out there and start slinging 300, 400-yard games and, being a superstar quarterback, everybody's
40 passes a game, not a chance.
You're not going to do that. You're going to have to rely on the running back. You're going to have to rely on short, choppy passes. And you're lucky that he does run a version of that offense for his son's high school team, because then at least he knows. Well, he was always a smart quarterback, so he knows the terminology of any offense he gets installed with. But yeah, you're in a good position, at least from that perspective. He knows the stuff on the back burner, so to speak.
Exactly. It's like all they really need out of him, 4 or 5 big throws a game. Like key big throws. If he can give him that, he'll be fine. I'm not super worried about it. But again, 5 years off the couch, man. That's hilarious. No. Objectively hilarious.
And it doesn't have to be a 40-yard throw. It could be a 3rd and 8 and he gets a 20-yard pass. You know what I mean? Like he needs to manage the game when it needs to be managed, and he needs to make a couple big plays. And big is a relative term because it could just be momentum. That's all you're looking for, some momentum.
The biggest play he might need to make is like a 3rd and 8.
Right. And if he can do that and accomplish that, then I think even if the Colts lose, they've won. They understand the system. They understand what they've got going on in their future, in their immediate future. So
exactly.
It almost, we'll see how it plays out, but it almost reeks of the Jeff Saturday move, right? When they hired Jeff Saturday as their interim coach, who's, to my knowledge, had never coached a football game before in his life, but he was a very smart.
Would he be Chuck?
Right. I mean, it reeks of that. I don't want to say desperation, but almost of that aura of desperation, and we'll see how it plays out. I respect Phillip Rivers, but I don't know if this was the right move coming off the bench after 5 seasons.
Just unbelievable. I don't think I'll ever forget when I saw the notification from, I think it was Rappaport, the first person I saw this from. I'm like, this has to be a bit. Right? It was not a bit. And he's
NFL memes or something like that. I was like, wait a minute now.
I got Centel. No, I was in fact not Centel. So I have 2 options here for question number 9. How much have you been following the winter meetings?
Enough to know that I hate the Dodgers more than ever.
All right. Who's the biggest winner and the biggest loser of winter meetings, which I believe are closing today?
So, yeah, I would... Man. So only because, and I, as far as I know, it's a little bit more than a rumor, but if the Dodgers would have been able to pull off the Skubal deal, I think that would have made them the clear winners of the winter meetings. Right now, to me, it's neck and neck between them and the Orioles, because the Orioles at least got Alonso out of the deal. And I think Alonso is going to be a great pickup for that team. I think that solidifies all the bats that they need. And I don't know if they needed defense with, you already had Mayo at first base, but now you've got Mayo as trade bait for maybe a potential pitching move. But man, if the Dodgers can move and get Skubal out of Detroit, they would easily be the best. That's the best deal. Because they've already got Diaz, who I think is a great move. And then the only other thing I can think of was the closer from the Padres left. Where did he go? Atlanta?
I believe, Robert Suarez. I believe he went to the Braves. Yeah.
So it's arguable that those 3 teams are potentially the best in this offseason. And I think the Cubs are the biggest losers, to be honest with you. They have tons of money. They don't ever spend any money. I think they picked up, didn't they pick up a secondhand reliever from Boston or something like that? So I mean, that's
Probably.
They could have done a whole bunch of stuff, but now they're talking about trading. I heard rumors that they're trading Nico Horner. They're not closing in on. It doesn't seem like anybody wants Tucker anymore, which is surprising to me. But they're not closing.
Is he a Morse guy?
Yeah, maybe that's why.
Well, there you go. Now listen, we're gonna get this 2-year deal with a 1-year opt-out. Then you're gonna get an even bigger contract next year, and that bigger contract's never gonna come.
Right. Yeah. And then the only thing I can think of is, I guess, Schwarber returned to Philly, right?
Devastating.
Yeah, I know that. I think that breaks almost everybody's heart, because everybody thought they were going to get Schwarber out of that deal. Like even the Reds threw an offer at Schwarber, which I thought was crazy. You never see the Reds spend any money in free agency, so for them to even go after Schwarber, that was interesting.
So I guess that offer was like never close.
But still, for them to even throw something out there, that was like when the White Sox were looking at Bryce Harper. Like as a White Sox fan, I knew we weren't getting Bryce Harper, but it was interesting. Oh wow, we might actually make some sort of move on this. Yeah, it's winter meetings are always fun to watch.
So the big winner to me is I would probably say the Dodgers because number one, you're still the Dodgers. Number two, you brought in a guy who I don't know if he's going to necessarily be closing for them, but obviously I think Diaz is going to be a good arm for them. You will never guess who my big loser is. You'll never guess.
Are you going to say the Red Sox?
It is the Boston Red Sox. Okay, I actually want to preface this. I actually did not want them to get Alonso, genuinely. I didn't want to pay him, whatever he ended up getting 5 years and
yeah.
However, to be so cheap that the Baltimore Orioles are outbidding you for guys.
That's why I think
that sums it up, man. Like you were not serious about winning.
Right. I think the Orioles are winners because again, they're kind of like Cincinnati. You never really hear them spending a ton of money. They've got all sorts of bats in their prospect system. They've got all sorts of talent that eventually will walk away from the Orioles organization. But for them to go out and get Alonso, and I don't know if it was a steal, but you still have a lot of talent in Alonso. I think he had if I remember correctly, not the best of years last season.
Yeah, he'll be a solid back for them.
But yeah, you get that solid back. I think you get at least 2 years, and so maybe that's what the Orioles are thinking is now they have a 2-year window to win the East. But yeah,
the problem is they don't have any pitching though. For the Red Sox, you missed out on the guy you told anyone and everyone you were all in on, and Pete Alonso.
Yeah,
your backup target, Ketel Marte. You're not even going to come anywhere close to what he's going to end up going for in a trade. Because again, all fucking again, Chicago Cubs guy Craig Breslow. Thanks, Bruce. Really fucking appreciate him. All he cares about is his baseball prospect rankings, his Baseball America rankings. Doesn't care about the Major League roster. Doesn't care at all. So we're gonna be stuck with a roster of NPCs and bootstraps Jaron Duran because he doesn't want to go out and get a asses and seats guy and Ketel Marte.
So I heard a rumor that I don't know how much of a rumor it is, but I had heard that the Red Sox had been calling the White Sox several times about Kyle Teal, who the Red Sox gave Teal to the White Sox I think 2 seasons ago now. So I think that's very interesting too. That I guess there's a little bit of seller's remorse on that one because I think Teal is real. He's got a legit chance of being a superstar.
That sounds pathetic enough that it's right up of Craig Breslow's wheelhouse, if I'm being honest.
We spent a long time being your farm club, so for you guys to be trying to get one of your guys back, that's kind of interesting to me.
Hilarious. They won't spend for anybody. I think I saw something along the lines of they're terrified of these multi-year deals. Like, you don't want to win. You don't want to fucking win. You have to give out multi-year deals to guys. That's how the fucking game works. You fucking idiots.
It's surprising because, in the early 2000s, that's what the Red Sox were doing. The Red Sox were big on signing anybody that I don't know about anybody, but they were big in the free agent market. They were getting all sorts of names. They were really contending with the Yankees in terms of, star power for a long time. And then now just after 2015, you guys are just kind of petered out with that. And you're just...
Now we have a roster. Half the fucking guys in this roster could walk through downtown Boston and just be fucking a ghost. Abraham Toro? You think anybody is recognizing Abraham Toro walking down downtown Boston? What a fucking chance! Romy Gonzalez?
Yeah, sure. But are you high? Is it Roman Anthony? Are you guys high on him still or no?
No, yeah. Roman Anthony's gonna be good. I think roughly the same about Marcelo Meyer. But again, these random dudes, you've never heard of half the people on this fucking roster. Ever. Roman Gonzalez, Abraham Toro, Nate Eaton. Like, these dudes never existed, Kenny. I'm telling you. Every single person I'm about to name, not a real person. Jacob Wilson, reliever, not a chance. They're big again, and the guy that they basically tore half their roster apart for, and by that I mean Devers, to get in Bregman, might not even be on the fucking roster next year. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
It's tough times to be a Red Sox fan, that's for sure. That's tough.
I fucking believe. I guess Red Sox fans ran the radio play-by-play guy off of Twitter.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yeah, so things are going great for us right now.
That's an accomplishment. But that's what the White Sox fans have been doing since '07, really. I mean, we had such high hopes after the World Series in '05. We were doing pretty good in '06, and all of a sudden '07, '08, and it's just we can't find our way out of the bottom of the cellar. Like it's just ridiculous. You know, and that 20
that for us
season, it
is
should
when
have been
Fenway Sports Group bought Liverpool. That
Okay.
was that for us.
Right. Didn't make a whole lot of sense, huh? No.
Great season they're having, by the way, John Henry. Last time I checked. Our last question. This is I don't know if you're going to have an answer for this, but I thought this was appropriate. He is retiring tomorrow night. John Cena having his final ever professional wrestling contest in Washington, D.C. God forbid. He could have had his last match in Boston, but no, God forbid. Against Gunther, ex-world champion. Any John Cena memories, moments, anything of the like? I know you're around kids. I know you definitely have had kids that are John Cena fans.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's been a few years. So I'll say the one thing that I found very interesting was the rivalry he had with The Rock. So he called The Rock a part-time superstar, made fun of him for having the writing on his hand and stuff like that. I think that was the key moment.
Godly.
Because the ability to stand up to The Rock and say things like that, even whether it was scripted or whatever, however you want to.
No, that was real. That was legit.
Right. And then years later to hear him kind of talk about like, I took advantage of the situation, or he was saying that like he understands now how The Rock is, like why he is the way he is. So I think for me that was because I grew up a Rock fan. Like it was Rock and Stone Cold for me growing up. I was the Attitude Era. So to see somebody stand up like that and to actually kind of shut him up, like nobody shuts The Rock up. Nobody's ever been able to quiet him down. And to see that in that brief few moments like that, that was it for me. And I don't know if that's what you're looking for or if you're looking for a specific match.
Good.
But that's kind of what struck out to me was what he was able to do with that.
So my only real story I have, we're closing. This was almost 20 years ago. I'm fucking really old, folks. This was 2007, the night after SummerSlam. The only time I've ever seen him live. It was against Booker T in what was his final ever match as a full-time WWE wrestler. And this just so happened to be the night that his dad was front row the entire show. And at the end of the show, one Randall Keith Orton would take him, jettison him to the ringside area, and then punt his head clean through the uprights. And again, I was 7 years old at the time. I was traumatized. I thought I saw a man die, Kenny. Genuinely thought I saw a man die. I believe this was like late August 2007. This 50-year-old man assaulted by this what's the word I can use for Randy Orton at this time? He wasn't bald at this point. This conniving asshole.
There you go.
And that legitimately scarred me as a 7-year-old. But I mean, John Cena, man, what a guy.
Yeah, good career for sure. I really appreciate what he was able to do after the Attitude Era. It's kind of he started, I think, around the time or a little bit after actually when I stopped watching. So to see what he was able to do in the sort of the quote unquote Disney era of the sport, I think he did just fine. I think it was a good career.
Well, it's Disney era now because they're on ESPN for pay-per-views. So I mean, but I'm sure that match tomorrow night with Gunther will be good, and that's gonna do it for the 10-piece, which took all of 55 minutes this week.
That was the whole show. That was good.
That was good. Only one. Actually, we technically have 2 football games this week, Kenny, correct? 2 major.
We have for sure have Army Navy, and I believe there is. Let me see.
South Dakota versus Montana. Shout out to South Dakota. I know a guy in that staff.
Yes, if you give me a second, I can pull up the scores on that. Or the
final ever LA Bowl. Allegedly, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that works. Oh man, nothing's popping up.
The Rob Gronkowski presents Los Angeles Bowl. I have the Army Navy thing up. Do you want me to do it?
Yeah. Why don't you do it then? Because I had it up, but I had that as the only one up. I didn't see I forgot about the.
No, you're good. You are good. So we have the Celebration Bowl this week. We got Army and Navy. We got Boise State and Washington, and then a few separate FCS or not championship games, but playoff games. You want to start with Army and Navy, I guess?
Yeah, because that really should be the only game played this week. To be honest,
I don't disagree. I don't understand why there's a bowl game this week. Obviously, the FCS, you can't really do anything about that. But
right.
9-2 Navy, 6.5-point favorite against 6-5 Army. This game is taking place at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Where I'm from, Quincy, Massachusetts, is historically a Navy town. So I think my loyalties lie here. I'm going Navy.
Yeah. So my grandfather, 82nd Airborne. So typically I go Army. But man, Navy looks really good this season. 9-2 is impressive for the military academy schools.
Very.
So I'm gonna go Navy on this one. I think both teams run a triple option. Army's tried to shy away from that in recent seasons, and it's been a little disappointing. Yeah, they're trying to throw in these passing games, and it really looks like teams in the 50s trying to figure out the forward pass. So give me Navy's triple option over Army's triple option. I think they handle business this week.
Yeah, I feel like I've had for most of my life it's been. I know there's a few years recently where Army has won, but I feel like for the most of my life it's been Navy, which is great.
Navy's been pretty dominant in the rivalry, and it does go back and forth a couple seasons. But I think there was it 5 or 6 years in a row for Navy almost a decade ago. So it's been leaning heavily towards Navy. I think they have a better coach too, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree there. LA Bowl. This is once the Gronk LA Bowl. You understand? You understand how prestigious this is? That Rob Gronkowski sponsored his own bowl game, and it's now going away a year later. That's neither here nor there. Washington versus Boise State. Washington, a 10-point favorite over the Broncos, who were in this game, I believe, 2 years ago against. I couldn't have been Oregon, was it? I definitely scouted Ashton Genty in this game, but I don't remember who it was against.
I don't think it was Oregon, but I'm not remembering who.
I remember he went off in that game, but nevertheless, they are back here and they're a 10-point dog. I'm gonna go with Washington. So
typically, I would pick Washington in this scenario, but Boise State shows up for bowl games well prepared, almost I would say better prepared than most teams actually get for these types of situations. They had that, I know it was eons ago at this point, but they had that upset in the Fiesta Bowl. I'm going to take Boise State. I think they at least cover the spread. I think they actually come out and outright win it, but I would definitely give them the covering. I think they'd be able to cover that 10-point spread easily.
By the way, I do have the team who was UCLA, so it wasn't super far off. That's the only bowl. We also have the Celebration Bowl this week, South Carolina State versus Prairie View.
Okay.
South Carolina State just gonna have a bulldog logo.
We got
in the Celebration Bowl.
I'll take South Carolina State.
Oh, Bruce!
Bruce walks away. I think he's just seeing it for close to ending.
Not an ally. I also have the NFL games up if you don't.
Sure, go for it.
All right, here we go. NFL picks, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start in Chicago, who they had a game last week. Bruce, what happened in that game? What happened?
They started off super slow, and the Green Bay Packers are frauds. I don't think they're frauds. They're not frauds. They're not frauds. They're good.
I was about to say.
But legitimately, though, the Bears started super slow. I do think that game legitimized the Bears, though, as a team that is on the up and coming.
Yeah, I agree. I think even in a loss, that shows that they're able to handle themselves for sure.
Fair enough. They're 7.5-point favorites at home this week over the
first time since the year 2000. 2002.
The Cleveland Browns. Again, the total in this game is only 38. Is there snow in the forecast? That's what it's saying for me on CBS.
No,
-20 wind chill is what I've seen.
God, that's real football. Give me the Bears. That's bear weather. That's what Lance Briggs told me.
no such thing as bear weather. The Bears win this game though.
Lance Briggs would not appreciate that. I'm more of a Bears fan than you are, man.
We
That's
belong
great.
in a dome. But yeah, I'll take the Bears because the Browns are terrible.
Bruce, get him out of here.
There's no way I'm going to a dome. But I will say though, there's no such thing as bear weather.
You'll be happy when we host the Super Bowl, Bruce. So yes, we deserve it.
Of course.
We deserve a dome. Yeah. So we're gonna get a dome.
Dome.
I'm all for it.
You
Retract-
nonsense.
Hashtag retractable.
Domes? No, get out of here.
No, because Indianapolis has a retractable dome and they unfurl it once every 5 seasons or something when Jim Irsay wants to fart in the wind, when he did want to fart in the wind. So no, there's no point in having it.
Next game, we go to Cincinnati. Kind of a gut check game here for the away team, which is the Baltimore Ravens. They are just about a field goal favorite here on the road at 2.5, the 51.5 point spread. Kind of a must win here to keep pace with the Steelers, and I think they do get it done. No T. Higgins in the lineup for the Bengals. I'm going with the Ravens.
Yeah, give me the Ravens as a slight favorite. 2 banged up quarterbacks, two seasons that have really gone in the opposite direction of what you would have thought, but still both are potential contenders at this point. So I think just because the Ravens need this one, I think they come out with the win. Just barely though.
Now, this is a massacre. This is a massacre that's to be on live national television on Fox, the Fox network, you understand. 9.5 point favorites at home. We're talking the Houston Texans hosting the Arizona Cardinals. Jesus Christ, folks. 42.5 point spread. I need to know who's all out for the Cardinals. I know it was bad last week.
I don't think it got any better.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's any better this week. It's Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he just returned to practice today, so the chance he plays. But I think we all know who's won this one. It's the Texans.
Yeah, it's got to be the Texans. It's almost. I don't want to say a lock, but I think it's pretty close to a lock.
Why did Bruce put that up?
The dome comments? I don't know.
All right. Speaking of blowouts, we probably have another one on deck. We're going to call this the Brady Cook game because he is starting for the away team here, the Jets, who are a 13.5 point underdog at Jacksonville. 41.5 point total. Yeah, Jags are skipping this game. Now, this might be the most. I don't think this is the best game on the schedule. This is definitely the most interesting. Because if the home team here, the Kansas City Chiefs, lose, and I think a couple other things go a certain way, they're out of the playoffs. If I am not mistaken. They host the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chiefs are favored by 5.5. I think the Chargers win this game.
I mean, I want to see the drama unfold, so yeah, give me the Chargers.
I genuinely do think the Chargers win this game. The Chiefs' offensive line is a fucking train wreck, Kenny.
Yeah.
Train wreck.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad this season.
Pretty bad. Travis Kelce's been washed for like 4 seasons now, but people only now are realizing it, except for me. And it's sad. Or really happy, depending on who you are.
Hold on, time out real quick. I actually was looking forward to this conversation earlier. On one of your questions that you talked about the how you can change the Chiefs roster, trade Kelce ASAP.
For what?
ASAP. I would trade him ASAP. Bye.
For what?
There's a team out there, Jack, that is going to take a Travis Kelce deal and give way too much.
Yeah, I'm trading a firm handshake and some hand sanitizer.
Yeah. They might throw in a Taylor Swift bra.
Sure.
Anyway,
deal.
Maybe the best 1:00 window game of the entire season. CBS tells me that there's inclement weather in the forecast, and I can also confirm that may actually be the case. This is Bills at Patriots. If the Patriots win, they win the AFC East. Depending on what book you're at, this could be going either way, but I think the majority of which have Bills currently at -1.5 with a 49.5 point total. And just came up today that Christian Benford did not practice because of a toe injury, so that could be gigantic in this matchup. I've gone back and forth about this one all week. I'm gonna go with the Patriots. The Bills not really a good away team, and Josh Allen, for whatever reason, this hasn't not been a good road quarterback this year. Historically, he is good on the road in December, but for whatever reason, this year coming in, he just hasn't been as good.
Rather pedestrian. Yeah, so I think if the Patriots defense can make the Bills one-dimensional, either way, either take away the running game or take away Josh Allen, which I think they're going to have more success taking away Josh Allen, it's an easy lock for me for the Patriots. I 1.5 point favorites. That seems kind of embarrassing to me. I would think that the Patriots can win by at least 10.
So I will let you know.
Bills, what are you guys doing?
Every time James Cook has gone over 120 yards on the road, the Bills have won. Every time he's gone under on the road, the Bills have lost. I have that in my preview article tomorrow. Shout out to Eli Drake. We now move on to, I think we have 2 games left in the 1 o'clock window. Washington at New York. This is what does this game do to glorify God? The answer is nothing. Give me the New York. And yeah, sure.
All right, I'll just to be contrarian, I'll take the Commanders on the road.
Fair enough. Stand for something, fall for nothing, things of that nature. Oh, I totally forgot about this game. This is the best game of the this is the best game of the 1 o'clock window. Are you kidding me? The Kenny Pickett revenge game. Raiders going cross country at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to play the Eagles, who are a 12.5 point favorite. How funny would it? How funny would it be?
I think the Eagles fans riot in Philadelphia if they lose to the Raiders this week, so it'd be fun to watch.
Fuck it, give me the Raiders. They're gonna avenge the other positivity, right? But I love that Bruce is just spamming every button he can.
Right, he's got all of them going. I'll take the Eagles. I think that's the easy choice.
But is it the funniest one?
No, absolutely not.
Just why I'm going with the Raiders. Like I got one of those a year. I'm going with one strictly for funny reasons. All right, big one in the 4 o'clock window. I believe this is national for all but like 2 markets in as far as CBS goes. This is Broncos hosting the Packers, who are favored on the road here. They're a 2.5 point favorite in Denver, and they've been playing really good football for the most part. Bruce, again, what happened on Sunday? Many are asking. What happened? I don't think it's going to be anything necessary that the Broncos do wrong in this game, but I am going to go with the Packers.
So
I feel like Jordan Love's playing some really good football right now, man.
I think there's 2 sides of this, right? I think right now you got to be looking at, are the Packers starting to do all the right things at just the right time to make them a true playoff contender? And on the flip side, are the Broncos going to be able to stymie that and hold them off, especially playing Mile High? So I think just because it's in Denver, I'll take the Broncos on this one. But I would not be surprised at all if the Packers pull off the win and continue to look very impressive as they move towards the playoffs, unfortunately.
Certainly fair enough. The Broncos undefeated at home this year. Next up, we move to Los Angeles. Not super far away from Denver, relatively speaking. This is the Lions taking on the Rams. The Rams are surprisingly a 6 point favorite. That feels a little higher than I would have expected. Obviously, there's a ton of defensive injuries now for the Lions. Kirby Joseph just had a hiccup in his recovery. Brian Branch is out for the year. I don't know. I'm going to go with the Lions in this one. I have a really weird feeling they're going to use it as a rally with a ton of banged up bodies against a really good Rams team.
So I kind of see this. I kind of see this as the Lions are able to win on Sunday, but then if they meet in the NFC Championship or if they meet in the playoffs, it's going to be the Rams. So the Lions win the battle. The Rams are going to end up winning that war. So give me the Lions.
I think it's bad if I know exactly what game that's from. It's from Pats Packers 2022, the Bailey Zappi game. Speaking of slop, we got. Oh, shut up. Carolina Panthers, who now have an opportunity to take the reins of the NFC South, they're going to the Saints in the Superdome. Panthers are favored 2.5. I think we're both going to be on the same page here, the Panthers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Never trust a team that can't match their own gold. So, yeah, give me the Panthers.
AFC South champions right there, baby. Let's go, Panthers.
Bruce, with a problem with that. Bruce, get back in here. The problem what you just said.
I don't know if he's coming back.
He definitely knows. He definitely knows.
NFC South, my bad.
There you go. There you go. 3 more games to go. Tennessee at San Fran. San Fran. Let's move on.
Yep. Not even questioning that one.
Now, this is a fascinating game for Phil Rivers to come back to. At Seattle. Despite the fact that Phil Rivers is playing in this game, the Seahawks are a 13.5 point favorite. 13.5 point favorite against a quarterback who hasn't played in 5 years. That feels a bit high. Maybe he hasn't played in 10 years, maybe. But 5? I don't know. Give me the Seahawks. Yeah, this will be a blowout.
Yeah. At Seattle, that defense is going to be chomping at the bit. And I like the Colts offensive line, don't get me wrong, but yeah, Philip Rivers is in for a day.
Yeah, Seahawks has some dogs on defense. Gaffney scouting legend Nick Monroe had last week. And now we move to what can only be described as one of the Sunday Night Football games of the year. The 5-8 Minnesota Vikings travel up or down in this case to Dallas to play the Cowboys, who are a 5.5 point favorite against 9 in the boys. Cowboys.
Yep. I mean, I don't trust the Vikings, so give me the Cowboys, unfortunately. And I don't want to ever pick the Cowboys either, just so we're clear.
Listen, these are the choices you got to make. You got to stand for something. You pick a tie.
Nope, because ties are the worst thing in football, so no.
Now, this is. I feel like I've seen like 5 different versions of the game that's going to happen on Monday in my lifetime. This is Dolphins at Steelers. Steelers are a 3-point favorite over a Dolphins team very quietly. I think we may have touched on this a couple times in the last few weeks. They are 5-1 in their last 6 games.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs.
As crazy as that sounds,
Playoffs?
the Miami Dolphins, who were having closed-door player-only meetings back in like week 2,
Yep.
5-1 in their last 6. Their only losses to the Ravens. I think they make it 6-1. I think they win this game. This feels like the quintessential vintage. The Steelers look past their opponent. Don't try for 3 quarters. Give me the Miami Dolphins.
No, I see everything you're saying, Jack, and I don't disagree with anything that you're saying, but it's hard for me to go against the Steelers when it's the Dolphins, so I'll still take it.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Bruce, hop back in here, Bruce.
Maybe.
There he is.
It's tough for me to jump in as fast when I'm on my phone. What's up?
Coward. No, any parting thoughts?
Well, thank you guys again for covering me tonight. Having to juggle multiple things at one time is super difficult, so it's much appreciated. Parting thoughts, though. 100% agree. I think the Dolphins actually make the playoffs. That's a long shot, but I think they make the playoffs. Bills win. Come on now. Josh Allen just announced that they're having a baby. Let's get it. Let's go. And then what else we got? I don't know. I think the Bears cover. Also, Rams win, but Lions cover. That's a ridiculous line.
Yeah, I saw that just now. I'm like, that feels a little high, even for the Rams.
That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. But thank you guys so much. You guys got any parting things you want to say?
Jack, are you a Bruins fan?
Oh, I know. The jerseys are bad.
I was really looking forward to it, man. The claw marks though, that's kind of cool, but everything else is a miss on that. The whole matchup is a mess. I don't know why.
Horrible.
Tampa's look ugly. I don't know why they're playing in Tampa. It doesn't make any sense to me. But oh well.
Actually, you know what? Real quick, one last thing, guys. Speaking of Tampa and jerseys, the Buccaneers are not allowed to lose when they are rocking the creamsicles against. I know. If traditionally back in the day they would wear those, and they would always get
They
their
started
asses pounded.
0-26. They
I
have the
know,
worst.
I know, but
In
still.
essence, that was the perfect game to wear those jerseys.
I cannot tell you how much I love those jerseys, though.
But that
I don't
matchup
know.
was sick. The old school Falcons black with red lids versus the
Dude,
creamsicles.
it was great.
Unbelievable.
I don't need color rush. I need more of that. I need more historical color on color
Well said.
matchups. I think that's perfect.
Well said. Well said. All right, boys. Well, again, thank you guys so much. Jack, keep going with those Patriots, dog.
Yeah,
All right, boys.
I'll be down there on the sidelines stealing some signals. We go.
I think it's one of those times that we get to see the best commercial in podcast history.